The early winter morning in Boston was cold. Evelyn Robinson placed both hands on the kitchen counter and took a deep breath. Dark circles had formed under her eyes from staying up late writing a press release for the museum's new exhibition. The rich aroma from the coffee maker provided a little comfort to her tired spirit. "Melody, are you ready? You'll be late for school," Evelyn called out toward the stairs. After a moment, a 12-year-old girl with a pink backpack came hurrying down. Melody's brown hair was carelessly pulled back in a ponytail, and only half of her uniform shirt was tucked in. Evelyn couldn't help but smile. "Mom, look. I finished it last night." Melody opened her sketchbook and showed a vibrant watercolor painting. It depicted an elderly couple sitting on a park bench, with every detail carefully rendered. Evelyn gasped in admiration. "That's wonderful, Melody. Your sense of color is getting better and better." "Really? I want to show Grandpa and Grandma too. Maybe I'll take it with me for Christmas." Evelyn's expression stiffened for a moment. Christmas next week. The annual gathering at her parents' house. Evelyn's stomach grew heavy. "Of course, you can take it," Evelyn forced a smile. "Now, eat your breakfast.
Can you imagine making $10,000 a month just from YouTube, all from home? That's exactly what I did with Reddit stories. No face, no voice. Check the link in the description if you're curious.
You have Mrs. Johnson's math quiz today." Melody made a face. "I was trying to forget about that. We studied together last night. You'll be fine." Melody nodded nervously. She had artistic talent but struggled with math. Evelyn gently pulled her daughter close. "Just do your best. That's all that matters." After dropping Melody off at school, Evelyn rushed to the museum. Her phone rang, and when she saw it was her sister Carol, Evelyn sighed. "Good morning, Carol." "Evelyn, did you hear from Mother? Amanda won first place in the state preliminaries for the National Math Olympiad." Carol's voice was boastful. "That's great. Please give Amanda my congratulations," Evelyn replied in a flat voice. "And apparently Harvard admissions officers already have their eye on her." "She's 13, Evelyn." Evelyn stared out the window. Carol's daughter Amanda had been called a prodigy since she was young and carried all her parents' expectations. Meanwhile, Melody's artistic talent had never been seriously appreciated by anyone in the family. "So, how's Melody?" Carol's voice carried a hint of superiority. "Is she still drawing pictures?" "Yes, she's improving a lot." "I see, but when you think about the future, shouldn't she be spending time on something more practical?" "Evelyn, things must be difficult for you since the divorce, right?" Evelyn bit her lip. Since her divorce 3 years ago, this sort of helpful advice from Carol had only increased. Compared to her sister, a lawyer from a prestigious university, Evelyn, who had studied art history at a regional college, was always the lesser daughter in her parents' eyes. "We're doing fine, Carol. Melody has her own path." "Well, we'll see you at Christmas. Dad says he has an important announcement." After hanging up, Evelyn pulled the car over to the side of the road and rested her forehead on the steering wheel. Christmas. The gathering at her parents' mansion. In front of William and Martha, she always felt small, like she was still a teenager. Her heart ached thinking about Melody. Just imagining the inferiority her daughter would feel in that house was painful. But Melody looked forward to seeing her grandparents. Especially this year, she wanted to show them her artwork. Evelyn took a deep breath and started driving again. She quietly vowed that whatever happened, she would protect her daughter and continue to believe in her talent. Christmas Eve. On Christmas Eve, William and Martha's mansion was decorated with colorful lights. Evelyn parked the car and smiled at Melody in the passenger seat. Her daughter was dressed in a blue dress, carefully holding her sketchbook. "Don't be nervous. Your paintings are wonderful." Melody nodded, but her eyes revealed her anxiety. Do you think Grandpa and Grandma will like them? Evelyn hesitated, unsure how to answer. She didn't think her parents would appreciate her granddaughter's artistic talent, but she didn't want to crush Melody's hopes. Be proud of your work. That's what matters most. When they opened the front door, they could already hear lively voices. In the living room, Carol and her husband Brian, along with their daughter Amanda, were chatting with William and Martha. Amanda's hair was perfectly styled, and she wore what looked like an expensive dress. Evelyn, Melody. Finally, you're here. Martha called out. Her hug was formal and cold. You're late. We were just about to take the family photo. There was traffic, Evelyn made an excuse. William finally looked at Evelyn. Shouldn't you fix your hair a bit? You'll be in photographs, you know. Evelyn nodded silently. Her father's critique of her appearance hadn't changed since childhood. Grandpa, look. Melody gathered her courage and held out her sketchbook. I brought my drawings. William looked confused for a moment and awkwardly accepted the book. Oh, I see. Thank you. He began to flip through the pages, but Carol quickly interrupted. Dad, did you hear about Amanda? She won the state preliminaries for the National Math Olympiad. William's face lit up. Good heavens. My granddaughter is a genius. He hastily set Melody's sketchbook on a side table and turned to Amanda. Tell me all about it. What kind of problems did they give you? The smile disappeared from Melody's face. Evelyn gently put her arm around her daughter's shoulders. Let's show them later, Evelyn whispered. Let's go help Grandma. At dinner, the conversation centered entirely on Amanda's academic achievements and future prospects. Melody ate silently, occasionally glancing at Evelyn. Evelyn's heart ached, but she tried not to show her emotions. Amanda will be receiving special instruction from a Harvard professor, Carol boasted. She's 13. It's unprecedented. Wonderful. Martha applauded. The pride of our family. When dessert was served, William tapped his glass. Everyone, I have a special announcement tonight. The table fell silent. Evelyn felt uneasy at her father's solemn expression. Martha and I have been thinking seriously about our grandchildren's future. Particularly about their college education funds. Evelyn tensed. Her parents were wealthy, but their support always came with conditions. I've always believed that investing in talented individuals is the wisest approach, William continued. In business and in life, resources should be allocated efficiently. Carol nodded, putting her arm around Amanda. Evelyn began to understand her father's true meaning, and her stomach grew heavy. So, Martha and I have decided. The education funds for our grandchildren will be distributed according to their talents and future potential. What do you mean? Evelyn found herself asking. Martha smiled. It means a family ranking, Evelyn. We evaluate each child's abilities and provide the most support to the most promising child. It makes sense, doesn't it? Evelyn was speechless. Melody looked at her mother with a confused expression. And tonight, we'll make the announcement, William declared. Our family ranking. Wait a minute, Evelyn started to stand. To talk about this in front of the children. It's fine, Evelyn, Carol interrupted. Children should know reality. The world runs on competition. William nodded. Exactly right. Now, before the ranking, let's review everyone's recent performance. He took out Amanda's report card. All A's. Perfect. Then he took out another paper. Evelyn realized what it was and felt the blood drain from her face. And Melody's latest grades. William frowned. D in math, C in science, only A's in music and art. This is concerning for her future. Dad. Evelyn exclaimed. How did you get Melody's grades? Carol obtained them from the school, William answered calmly. Using her authority as a lawyer. Evelyn glared at Carol. Carol shrugged. It's for the family. At this point, Carol picked up Melody's sketchbook from the side table. Look at this. Melody's artwork. She began flipping through the book with obvious sarcasm. It's cute. But do you think you can make a living with this? Tears welled up in Melody's eyes. Evelyn was shaking with anger. Give it back, Melody said in a small voice. Excuse me? Carol asked. Give it back. Melody suddenly shouted, standing up. Those are my drawings. Melody. Martha scolded. That attitude shows poor upbringing. No, Mother, Evelyn said in a calm but strong voice. Melody is right. Isn't it Carol who shows poor upbringing by taking and criticizing her work without permission? Tension filled the room. William cleared his throat and stood up. Let's get back to the main topic. I will now formally announce the Robinson family next generation ranking. Martha stood beside her husband, smiling gracefully. There was an expectant gleam in her eyes. Carol and Brian leaned forward, and Amanda wore a confident smile. First place, William said solemnly. Amanda Griffith. Carol let out a cry of joy and embraced her husband. Amanda stood up and walked toward her grandparents as if receiving an Oscar. Amanda is a talented prodigy, William placed his hand on his granddaughter's shoulder. Her intellect will change this country in the future. We will fully support her education. Harvard, Yale, wherever she wishes to go. Furthermore, we will provide funding for her research activities or business ventures after graduation. Amanda bowed politely to her grandparents and returned to her seat. Her expression mixed victory with a hint of pity. William continued to announce the rankings of other relatives' children. Each was given titles like Smart Child or Hard Worker, along with information about how much educational funding would be allocated. Evelyn's heart was racing. With a small hope in her chest, she thought Melody might at least avoid being ranked last. Perhaps they would acknowledge her artistic talent. And finally, William's voice interrupted Evelyn's thoughts. Unfortunately, in last place is Melody Robinson. The room fell silent. The color drained from Melody's face. Evelyn squeezed her daughter's hand tightly. Melody seems interested in art, William continued. His tone carried obvious disappointment. Unfortunately, her performance in practical subjects is poor. In terms of future potential, as an investment. Investment? Evelyn couldn't help raising her voice. My daughter isn't a stock. William ignored Evelyn and continued. To be honest, her talents are limited. She has no academic ability, and her appearance is. He hesitated for a moment, as if choosing his words. Ordinary. Dad. Evelyn stood up. Please stop. But Martha interrupted. Evelyn, accept reality. Melody isn't a genius like Amanda. She is, frankly speaking, plain and useless. Large tears spilled from Melody's eyes. She was trying hard to suppress her sobs, biting her trembling lip. We're saying this for her own good, Martha continued. It would be cruel to give her false hope. A community college would be good enough for her. Carol nodded in agreement. Evelyn, you're divorced and a single mother, right? You need to be realistic. How much can you afford for Melody's education? Evelyn's anger reached its peak. But before she could speak, Martha laughingly declared. So, we'll divide the education funds according to rank. Full support for Amanda. As for Melody, well, it depends on her talents. With these words, something broke inside Evelyn. She slowly stood up, placing both hands on the table. Everyone in the room noticed the change in her, and silence spread. "That's enough," Evelyn's voice was low but powerful. "Do you realize what you're doing?" William frowned. "Evelyn, calm down. This is an important decision for the family's future." "No," Evelyn shook her head. "This is abuse. Ranking children and determining their worth." She turned to Melody and gently wiped the tears from her daughter's cheeks. "Melody, listen. You are a wonderful child. Your paintings are beautiful, and your heart is kind. These people can't understand how valuable that is." Evelyn turned back to her parents. "I've spent my entire childhood trying to meet your expectations. But I was never enough. I was always told to be more like Carol." Carol shifted uncomfortably. Evelyn continued. "But I will let my daughter walk a different path. Whatever talent Melody has, whatever person she becomes, I will love and support her. Isn't that a parent's true role?" William's face reddened. "Evelyn, you're being too emotional. In business. This isn't business." Evelyn raised her voice. "It's family. A real family should provide unconditional love and support. But you don't understand that." She took Melody's hand and helped her stand. "We don't need to be here." "What do you mean?" William looked confused. "The meaning is clear," Evelyn replied calmly. "Melody and I are leaving. I can't keep my daughter in such a toxic environment any longer." "Wait, Evelyn," Martha hurriedly said. "We haven't opened Christmas presents yet, and we haven't taken photos." "We don't need presents," Evelyn said firmly. "Your gifts always came with conditions." She retrieved Melody's sketchbook from Carol and handed it to her daughter. "Let's go, Melody." "But Evelyn," Carol interjected. "You're not being realistic. Children like Melody have limitations. We're thinking about her." "Be quiet," Evelyn glared at her sister. "We don't need your thoughts. If you want to believe your daughter is the only one who's wonderful and everyone else is inferior, that's fine. But this is the last time you'll insult Melody." Evelyn took Melody's hand and started to leave the dining room. William stood up and grabbed her arm. "Evelyn, if you leave now, you can never come back. You'll lose all educational funds, your inheritance, everything." Evelyn looked straight into her father's eyes. "That's fine. We have something more valuable than money." She led Melody toward the entrance. As they took their coats and opened the door, Evelyn turned back. She saw Amanda standing there with a stunned expression. "Amanda," Evelyn said gently. "You're a wonderful child. But life isn't just about grades. Someday, I hope you'll understand that following your heart is important too." Then Evelyn and Melody stepped out into the cold night air. As they got into the car and started the engine, Melody asked in a small voice. "Mom, what's going to happen to us?" Evelyn smiled and took her daughter's hand. "We'll forge our own path. I believe in your talent. Both of us will live according to our hearts, not someone else's evaluation." She drove away from her parents' mansion onto the snowy road. 3 months later. 3 months had passed. From the window of Evelyn's apartment, signs of spring were slowly appearing in the park. She took a sip of coffee and returned her eyes to the papers spread across the living room table. She had been offered a promotion at the museum, but it meant more responsibility and longer hours. On the sofa, Melody was concentrating on her sketchbook. Since the Christmas incident, she had completely cut off contact with her parents and Carol's family. Although Melody had been deeply hurt by her grandparents' words, she showed surprising resilience. "Mom, look," Melody showed her completed painting. It depicted light streaming through trees in a lush forest, rendered in a unique style. "Wonderful," Evelyn admired it sincerely. "Your use of color is becoming more and more sophisticated." The doorbell rang, and Evelyn frowned. Visitors on Sunday afternoon were unusual. When she opened the door, Melody's art teacher, Lisa Chen, was standing there. "Evelyn, I'm sorry for coming without notice," she seemed a bit excited. "But I wanted to tell you this in person." After being invited into the living room, Lisa turned to Melody. "Melody, I submitted your work to the International Youth Art Competition. And, you've passed the preliminaries." Melody's eyes widened. "Really? Truly?" "Yes, really." Lisa smiled. "This competition receives entries from all over the world. Just passing the preliminaries is a remarkable achievement." Evelyn hugged her daughter. "Congratulations, Melody. Your talent has been recognized." Lisa continued her explanation. "The finals are in 2 months. You'll need to submit a new piece. I'll give you special instruction, so let's work hard together." From that day on, Melody's life transformed. After school, she received guidance from Lisa in the art room, and on weekends, she immersed herself in creation. A new sparkle appeared in her eyes, and her previously anxious expression disappeared. Her math grades also began to improve gradually. Evelyn was touched by her daughter's transformation. "Her concentration has improved," the school counselor explained. "When confidence builds, it positively affects other areas too." Evelyn accepted the promotion at the museum and also began working as a freelance writer in the evenings. It was to save money for competition art supplies and future education funds. Though sometimes tiring, she found new strength every time she saw Melody's growth. 2 weeks before the finals, Melody was putting the finishing touches on her entry. Her theme was light and shadow. It was her masterpiece, both technically and in content. "This is what I want to express," Melody told Evelyn with a serious expression. "That even in darkness, there is always light." Evelyn was too moved for words. Her daughter wasn't just painting, she was expressing her own philosophy. On the day of the finals, young artists from around the world gathered at the Boston Museum of Art. Melody stood nervously in front of her work. As Evelyn was about to offer words of encouragement, she saw familiar figures at the entrance. It was Carol and Amanda. Evelyn caught her breath. Melody also noticed them, and her expression hardened. Carol and Amanda slowly approached. When Carol spotted her sister, she smiled nervously. "Evelyn. Why are you here?" Evelyn's voice was full of caution. "I saw it in the newspaper," Carol answered. "There was an article about Melody." Evelyn remembered that a local Boston paper had featured the competition's preliminary winners. Carol continued. "I brought Amanda because she wanted to come herself." Evelyn shifted her gaze to Amanda. Gone was her usual confident expression, she looked somehow tired. "Melody," Amanda said in a small voice to her cousin. "I wanted to see your painting." Surprisingly, tears were welling up in Amanda's eyes. Carol sighed. "Amanda has been absent from school for 2 weeks now." "Why?" Evelyn asked in surprise. "Burnout syndrome," Carol answered quietly. "The pressure was too much. The doctor says she needs rest." Amanda took a step closer to Melody. "Your painting is truly wonderful. I don't have a way to express myself like this." Though puzzled, Melody gradually softened her expression. "Thank you. I'm good at math, but what I really wanted was to play the piano," Amanda confessed. "But academic achievement is all that makes my parents and grandparents happy." Evelyn and Carol exchanged surprised glances. A look of regret appeared in Carol's eyes. Just then, the judges entered the venue. Evelyn put her arm around Melody's shoulders. "It's your turn. Be confident." Melody took a deep breath and stood in front of her work. Though nervous, she began to speak confidently about her painting, the contrast of light and shadow, her use of color, and above all, the message she wanted to convey. there is always a light of hope even in the darkest times. The judges listened intently and asked questions. Amanda was captivated by her cousin's composed demeanor. As the time for the announcement of results approached, Evelyn's heart beat rapidly. As the venue fell silent, the head judge took the podium. The grand prize of this year's International Youth Art Competition goes to Melody Robinson, for Light in Shadows. The venue erupted in applause. Evelyn shouted and embraced Melody. Carol also applauded, and Amanda rushed over to her cousin with an expression of genuine joy. Melody Robinson will receive a scholarship and qualification to enter the prestigious New York Youth Academy of Arts, the judge continued. After the awards ceremony, local media interviewed Melody. Though nervous, she spoke about her passion for art. "My mother is my greatest support," Melody said to the camera. "She always believed in me." When the interview ended, Carol approached Evelyn. "Evelyn. I was wrong. I'm sorry." Evelyn looked at her sister. Though it would take time to forgive, her heart softened a little at this first sincere apology. "Amanda and Melody are talking," Carol pointed. The two girls were engaged in animated conversation in a corner of the venue. "It looks like Melody is offering to help with math," Evelyn smiled. "And Amanda is promising to teach Melody piano." Tears appeared in Carol's eyes. "You're a wonderful mother, Evelyn. I need to change too." On the way home, Melody had gotten Amanda's phone number and talked excitedly. "Amanda is actually a really nice person. She was suffering too." Evelyn looked proudly at her daughter. "You have a special talent, Melody. Not just in painting, but in seeing into people's hearts." When they arrived home, the answering machine was blinking. There were interview requests from art magazines and, surprisingly, an inquiry from a New York gallery about exhibiting Melody's work. Evelyn sat on the sofa, overwhelmed with emotion. A future she couldn't have imagined that night when they left her parents' house was now unfolding before them. "Mom," Melody sat beside her. "We did it, didn't we?" Evelyn hugged her daughter. "Yes, we found our own path." 1 year later. A year later, the doorbell of Evelyn's apartment rang. On a Sunday afternoon, Melody had been working on her assignments from the New York Youth Academy of Arts. She had started a new routine, returning home only on weekends and staying at the Academy's dormitory on weekdays. When Evelyn opened the door, William and Martha Robinson were standing there. Evelyn caught her breath. Her parents looked older than they had a year ago. "Evelyn." William's voice had lost its former authority. "Could we have a word?" Evelyn hesitated for a moment but opened the door and invited her parents in. When Melody saw her grandparents, she showed a surprised expression but greeted them quietly. "Melody," Martha approached her granddaughter. "I read about your exhibition in the newspaper. It's wonderful." "Thank you, Grandma," Melody replied politely. William turned to his daughter. "Evelyn, we were wrong. We've come to apologize." Evelyn silently regarded her parents. Martha continued. "Not recognizing Melody's talent was our foolishness. You were right that night." After a moment of silence, Evelyn asked, "Why now?" William lowered his gaze. "To be honest, my company is in trouble. I failed in some investments and lost considerable assets." Evelyn's expression hardened. Martha quickly added, "But that's not all. Carol and Amanda have shown us how wrong we were. Amanda has changed, thanks to Melody. She's back in school and has started playing the piano." The doorbell rang again, and Carol and Amanda appeared. Amanda, with a gentler expression than before, ran happily to Melody when she saw her. "How are the exhibition preparations?" Amanda asked. "Going well," Melody smiled. "Will I be able to make it to your piano recital?" Watching their conversation, Evelyn was struggling with complex emotions. William said quietly. We heard about Melody's scholarship and prize money. Is that why you came? Evelyn's voice was cold. Martha grabbed her husband's arm. That's not it. We really want to apologize. But Evelyn sensed the truth hidden in William's anxious expression. While pretending reconciliation, they really just wanted to piggyback on Melody's success. Evelyn stood up and said quietly, Dad, Mom. A true family doesn't appear only when needed. It's always there, loving unconditionally. Melody and Amanda interrupted their conversation and focused on the adults. Just then, Amanda stood up and took out a small canvas. Grandpa, Grandma, this is a painting Melody taught me how to make. It's a present from both of us. It was a simple but heartfelt family portrait. Tears appeared in William's eyes. At that moment, Evelyn felt that though the road to true reconciliation might still be long, there was a future in the genuine friendship between Melody and Amanda. Family isn't just blood relations, but people who cherish each other, Evelyn said quietly. In that sense, perhaps we're beginning to find a new form of family now.